Kenneth Walker was healthy. When he's healthy, they lean on him. Geno can throw 32 times, very effective. But I do think sometimes to get the right answer in life, it's often a loss or pain.
Yeah.
And I did think Mike White, in this biggest moment shrinking, there was some clarity here, is that they need a left tackle and they needed a grown-up at quarterback. It's a nice roster. And I know it's painful, but I'm thinking if I'm flying back and I'm Robert Saleh, I'm thinking we gained some clarity today.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not here yet. Look, we were talking about this game, and Schrager, Peter had made the comment that they feel like they've had their best week of practice yet. And when I hear that, I run.
Really?
I'm like, well.
What's that mean?
It just means I'd like to think, honestly, when Friday comes and we finish the week of practice, I feel like, man, we're ready. I can't recall a time where I thought, God, I want to redo this week. It was, there's a process to your game planning, and there's a process to your installation. And regardless of your health, obviously your adversity, we've had a game where the night before we traveled to Carolina, all 5 running backs were out with COVID, and the running back coach. And we had a Saturday morning meeting, and it was quickly, all right, how are we going to handle who's going to be a running back? And Ty Montgomery, who was playing receiver, who played running back, said, Ty, you're going to be a running back. Yeah, so Ty moved to running back. We had an extended walk through Saturday, 2 extra periods.
Did you win?
We got on a plane. We flew to Carolina, and we won by 25 points. All right, so I wouldn't have told Peter we had our best week then. But generally speaking, all right, you feel like by the end of the week, hey, we're ready to go, because that's how we're conditioned and trained.
Yeah.
That was unique. But, so I do think I have a better feel for that team. I'm sure Saleh has a better feel for that team, as do the personnel people. And now there's some good news and bad news in that. And the bad news is, our top 5 quarterback we selected, we know more about, and it's not the stuff we wanted to know. It's not the information we were hoping to know at this time.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see how they handle that.
Okay, I want to we haven't talked about this game, but you had so many playoff experiences. It's interesting. So here are the Eagles. When the Niners were all beat up early, now they're healthy.
Yeah.
The Eagles were healthy forever. Now they're falling apart. And key guys. Lane Johnson's a Hall of Fame right tackle.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't win when he doesn't play. Jalen Hurts is banged up. Now they lost Sweat, a defensive lineman. And I look at them and take me to your experience, and I think it's weird. Sometimes I think a team's falling apart and they show up in the playoffs and it's a totally different sensibility. Would you be, or how concerned would you be that you're kind of key guys? Is it circle the wagons time? Are you a little concerned with Philadelphia?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, I think it starts with the QB. So I'm under the assumption he's getting healthier and he's going to be available for the playoffs.
Okay.
Relative to what you just said, though, we've got to find a way to get this 1 seed. Because it used to be there were 2 teams. Right. The 1 and the 2 would have a week away, rest your players, work on, whatever it is that – and we're starting to see the trends, the power of that 1 seed. Yeah. It'll be an exception here or there.
Right.
But especially when your team is nicked up like Philly is, to get that additional week without a game. So – here they are playing the Giants. And the irony of this, when you think about this.
I know it.
All right. This wasn't too long ago where I can't recall who the head coach was. I think it was Judge, who's counting on the Eagles to win a game. And if the Eagles win this game last week of the season, the Giants are going to be, I think, in the postseason.
And he rested didn't he rest people?
He took Hurts out and he put in the kid from Indiana, the 6'5" quarterback.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
He still might be there. And then rested a bunch of other players, and it was the first time our league – we've talked about this before. It's happened before. It was the first time on a national stage our league saw that and thought, wow. And it impacted seeding. And I think, how do you handle this if you're Brian Daboll this week? Well, only the head coach knows at his place. There's a lot of theories. Parcells would say, we're always playing to win. He'd say, I'd have a mutiny if I told Lawrence Taylor that we're going to sit. We're going to look at Aaron Glenn some more.
Yeah, right.
Because he drafted Aaron Glenn.
Yeah.
But when that topic comes up and you just see the mistakes really recently, and we go all the way back to Cleveland, and they have the movie Draft Day.
Yeah.
And I've said this before, and right at the very end, Costner makes the right decision in the movie. But in real life, not Hollywood, they drafted Johnny Manziel, the same team.
Yeah.
And I think you have to pay attention to typing and when you're looking at the health of players and you're looking at the size of players. And two is just one example. We're going to see it again, I think, this upcoming year. There's another quarterback coming out
Bryce
of Alabama
Young.
That's not going to be prototype.
Yeah, so does he walk on water? Well, he did this weekend.
Yeah.
So I want to pivot then to Sean, and this is where you're so valuable. So I tend to, with a quarterback, now Pickett didn't go top 10. It was later first round. I tend to look for something that's unique. Herbert's size.
Yeah.
6'6" and moves. Josh Allen's size. Mahomes aren't. And then I look at Kenny Pickett, I'm like, I'm not sure what's unique. But then I've watched him in these games, and he's just chops wood. He stays in the game, and then he makes a play or two late.
Yeah.
There's something there. What do you see with him?
Well, I see football intelligence. I see someone who processes quickly.
Okay.
He certainly has it. When we try to find those intangibles with his teammates, you can tell, you can watch a quarter of a game and tell his teammates think he's
you can see that.
Yeah, you can see that. You can see Mike Tomlin when he came off that after that play, just like Kenny effing Pickett.
Right.
And so, and then lastly, when you share a building, which is unique, right? The Steelers and the University of Pittsburgh, and you have that much access to personality,
right,
skill set, all the other intangibles. That's invaluable. But yeah, I think, look, there was a reason he dropped some, and then the cost of doing business changes a little bit, but they weren't forced to start him or play him this year. They arrived at him, where we see so many of these teams that take someone so early that
and they feel they have to play him.
Yeah, absolutely. Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Are they the same team if Trey's still there as the starter?
Yeah.
I don't know that they are. Because I see Jimmy a little bit closer to Purdy.
Right.
And I think that's complemented what they do. So it's a hard position to evaluate. I mean, it's difficult when you start counting the misses. And then I would also say matches, because if the better ones are getting taken early, the problematic teams are drafting early. And so how many have gone to problematic teams that we've not really heard from again, or they don't come back till later on? That happens too.
Sean, I've thought about this just from an accuracy standpoint through the years. If you really want to be accurate with quarterbacks, guessing, I've thought about this because I made a lot of mistakes through the years, had some hits, had some misses. Sure. Is that outside, the question becomes, are they good enough to overcome nonsense? I always thought Andrew Luck was and Trevor Lawrence. Those are now Elway probably was. But in the last 10 years, there have been two guys that I looked at and I said, I don't care where they land. Two. Now, it's easy to say Mahomes now, but I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But I look at these guys. I look at C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young and Will Levis, and I don't think they are. So much becomes location, coach, sensibility. And I think Kenny Pickett's got a big advantage, is they're not going to pay him for 4 years. So the defense is already good. There's stability.
100%.
He's going to succeed because and they draft and develop players well.
The guy he's following was a great example. Ben sat in the draft room, threw his cell phone down at the table. He felt he fell a little bit.
Yeah.
And he went to Pittsburgh. And he doesn't even realize what's happening, but he could have been to these other spots. And
Aaron Rodgers, same thing.
He's a great example of it. I mean, he's a perfect example. Not how he wanted it to unfold, but how would have the bigger picture unfolded had he got what he wanted early on. He ends up in Houston, or he ends up in, and no disrespect to some of these other places, but they've earned those spots when they're drafting that early every year.
I want to talk about it was a surprising thud. Jets, Seahawks. I mean, and maybe I should have known the veteran Pete at home again.